Well, the nation state is the universal form of political organization today, and it had let's call it a high period after the Second World War. What we're facing today is a moment when the nation state finds itself up against significant competition especially from big data, which is doing lots of the same things as the nation state, but with a very different kind of organization. And with the changes in technology and finance, we find that a lot of even the richest and most powerful states are finding it difficult to continue providing the services that they did before, and are losing their ability to manage, especially economic processes. At the same time, a lot of poorer states, many of which never managed to deliver those kinds of services, are failing to convince their populations that they will ever be able to do so. And so there's a lot of people moving to try and collect rights or to secure economic futures elsewhere. So we have an enormous amount of turbulence within the nation-state system. And I think there are reasons to fear that the nation-state will continue to be able to manage human life and provide a viable platform for the kinds of social objectives and political objectives we've been accustomed to in the past. So I think at this moment we have to start to think about how we might reinforce our political capacities which are waning. A planetary politics, in my understanding, would be an attempt to recreate at the global level some of the political systems that are failing at the national level and secure us against large-scale political collapse. So I think at this point, because we're very early in this debate, what we have to do is to start to sow the seeds of future planetary systems by thinking about alternative forms of citizenship, economy, etc., to replicate some of the functions of the nation-state through other systems that people can fall back on in cases of state breakdown or in cases of large-scale migration, which is one of the principal threats to what exists today. Technology is absolutely critical because the nation-state itself is a technological engine, and a lot of its dominance, its ability to defeat rivals historically, and its ability to drive history, as it did very impressively after the Second World War, was due to its ability to marshal technological resources. And the predicament we face today is enormously related to the nation-state's inability to compete technologically with some of the new rising organizations and institutions in the world. So I think that to create planetary systems, one should be embracing and adopting some of the technological strategies of those competitors. They have already infiltrated nation states to a very great extent and displayed the way in which they can quickly sap the energies of nation states. So I think those technologies, how they might be employed for important ethical and humanitarian projects of political redesign is actually absolutely critical to the way that we address the current scenario. Well, theology is very interesting because I think it's one of the least explored areas of the nation state, but the nation state itself is a theological project. There is a religious content. I mean, nationalism, we know, is a sort of religious force. And the failure of the nation state, its gradual decline and withdrawal of some of the promises and bargains that were established in the past, releases a lot of theological energy, a lot of religious dissent, sects and heresies. And we see in a lot of elections an unnatural role of metaphysical questions. So any attempt to advance our political situation would start with a set of theological questions also. How do we, for instance, dislodge the divine from the national realm and associate the divine with the planetary, such that we can all feel ourselves to be part of a single cosmological endeavor. Well, citizenship is one of the most glaring failures of the nation state. Citizenship has turned into a class system where people are born into one kind of citizenship or another, which dramatically dictates their life horizons. The fact that citizenship is so incredibly unequal in the 21st century, and that there's very little prospect of that gap being closed because the nation-state system, and especially the capitalist system, depends enormously on those gaps, those economic and regulatory gaps between one kind of citizenship and another, opens the space for another kind of citizenship entirely that is radically equal. Another kind of citizenship on which we might be able to build a parallel set of political rights and indeed institutions. This is an area we don't understand well today, but it is fundamental, I think, to building a planetary system that complements and secures the political resources we have at present.